What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Foxbody Junkie YouTube channel. I'm Brandon, and today we're working on the engine for the 86 GT T-Top project car. So, in one of the previous videos, I went ahead and got the engine torn down to basically a bare short block, and I went ahead and saved all you guys the painstaking time of cleaning the block and prepping it and cleaning all the mating surfaces for the cylinder heads, the timing cover gasket, all of that stuff. That just takes a while. Making sure everything's clean so the gaskets have good surfaces and you know, head gasket surfaces are all clean and all that. I'll kind of go ahead, I'll show you what the block looks like now and kind of show you the steps that it took. Alright, so don't mind the mess here, you know. Don't have a messy shop, you're doing it wrong, right? So here's a short block. Like I said, it cleaned up really good. I didn't take the cam or the lifters even out of it. It's really pretty clean block. So went ahead and got all of the carbon buildup taken off of the cylinders here. I need to clean up some of this stuff. You'll have a little bit of that left over when you're done cleaning everything. As long as you clean all that off before you put the head gasket on, you're good. So we went ahead, got the heads, got the pistons cleaned up, got all the carbon taken off, went ahead and cleaned up the mating surfaces for the heads, so the head gaskets have a nice surface, and I'll show you the other side. It looks the same way, so that turned out really good. The block color that I went with is just a cast coat iron. I know you guys love that squeal going on. Just a cast coat iron. It looks basically similar to just a bare block color, just a cast iron. So nothing too crazy. I think this one was VHT that I used. So I went ahead and once I got the heads off of it, this engine I got pretty lucky. It wasn't super dirty, so I was able to just kind of scrape off a lot of the loose dirt and then wire wheel everything, and then I cleaned it, brake cleaned it, and then I go around with a little torch to just kind of get rid of all the little stuff that's in the cracks and crevices. And then we just tape off all of that and then painted the block. So but I'm in the process now. I did go ahead and replace the timing chain, so this one's a lot better than the last one. It's a lot better. It's still got some in it, but it's not nowhere near how the original was. So we got the mating surfaces all cleaned up for the timing cover now. And one thing I did want to touch basis on a little bit that I do that maybe some people don't do, or probably a lot of people don't do, is I actually trim up my gasket here. So let me go ahead and slide this over the dowel pin here. You guys can see what I'm yapping about. So as you can see, I trim up the top of the gasket. If you guys have put these gaskets on, you'll know that a lot of them have like an extra piece of the gasket here and then all the way above it. So when you put the timing cover on, you can actually see the gasket poking out in between the block and the timing cover. And I'm just not the biggest fan of how that looks. I think it'll be a lot cleaner with that all trimmed up like that. So, and it's ready to come off. But so we've got everything cleaned up now. That's clean. We got the back side of our timing cover cleaned up here. Got the new front main seal installed. So right now we're at a good spot. I'm going to go ahead and get just a really light application of black silicone around this, and then we'll put the gasket on it and then do a really light application of black silicone on this end of it as well, and we'll get this thing on here. Alright, so we got this thing flipped over here, went ahead and got the new Melling high volume oil pump put on it, reused the factory pickup tube because it was in good shape. It's got a little bit of burnt oil left on it. I didn't really clean that up much. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's very clean inside of here, so that's good. The oil pump that I took off was actually still in pretty good shape. I went ahead and rotated over the drive there, and it's still was pretty smooth, so I don't think there's really anything wrong with this oil pump, to be honest, but we're here now. It's always good practice to replace them, so that's what we did. After that, went ahead and went around all of the gasket mating surfaces, cleaned them up with Scotch-Brite and brake cleaner. That's typically my go-to on this kind of stuff, and turns out pretty good. So now we got a one-piece oil pan gasket. We're going to go ahead and put the oil pan gasket down here. I always put a little bit of silicone in the corners on the front and back, and then that's pretty much all you need as far as silicone goes. Oh, and then a little bit right here where the timing cover meets the block as well. So other than that, we're going to get this oil pan put on here, and I'll show you guys what that looks like when I'm done. All right, sorry I didn't pick up the camera when I got the oil pan put on, just barely, but it's a different day here. We did get the oil pan put on, and then I went ahead and got the balancer put on, got the crank pulley put on, the water pump pulley put on, got our alternator bracket put on, power steering pump pulley put on, or pulley bracket put on, and I went ahead and got the driver's side head bolted down, and well, I decided to pick up the camera again. So just got in the mood where I wanted to work and didn't really feel like picking up the camera. So I went ahead and I've got the driver's side cylinder head surface all cleaned up on the block. Got the head side of it cleaned up. I went ahead and got both heads cleaned up, got all the mating surfaces cleaned up, got them painted, and we're ready to put this last cylinder head on here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm using as far as head gaskets and what the mating surfaces look like, and then kind of my method of putting these heads on. It's nothing crazy, but I'll show you guys that. So here's what the mating surface looks like, nice and clean. Always clean up the pistons really good. I know I touched bases on that in one of the previous videos. Here is the driver's side head put on here. Everything looked good. Remember to put your stud here if you want to retain the bracket for the fuel lines. Yeah, other than that, I don't know if I touched bases, but I got the water pump timing cover put on. Everything turned out really pretty clean. I went with the Speed Doctor alternator bracket and Speed Doctor power steering pump bracket. I think it cleans it up, looks nice, gives it a little bit of pizzazz, you know. Got the pulleys cleaned up, painted, put on, and got the balancer cleaned up, painted, and put that back on. And then don't mind the beat up oil filter on here. It's just basically a place keeper or whatever. But oil pan all cleaned up, put back on. Everything looked pretty good on that front. So we're gonna go ahead and get this cylinder head put on here. So here's the cylinder head. Got the mating surfaces all cleaned up in the combustion chamber area, pretty much cleaned up with all the carbon buildup as much as I could anyway, without taking the valves and disassembling the head completely. So yeah, so we are ready to put this on. One thing I'm going to go ahead and do is, so I did mention that we're going to reuse the factory head bolts. So I clean up all the threads as good as I could pretty much get them with a wire wheel. And I just go ahead and put a little bit of gray RTV around the bottom threads here, because these go into the bottom side of the cylinder head on the block and they run in the water ports. So you want to make sure you put some RTV on those bottom threads. And then I usually put a little bit of oil underneath the head of the bolt. That way it torques down nice and easy and doesn't gall up on the cylinder head. So we've got all of our bolts set aside here. And I got to find one more for the center of the head. Here it is, still in the box. There we go. So we got all 10 of our head bolts here. We're going to go ahead, get those cleaned up. I'm going to show you guys now what gasket I use. So let me go grab that. Okay, so here is our gasket of choice. It's a Felpro 8548 PT2. This one works pretty good. I've used it in the past, but I've also used the Ford Racing head gasket and bolt kit. It's basically just another Felpro gasket. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is. Either will work fine. If you guys are using an MLS gasket, that'll work too. Just make sure that the mating surface on your block and your heads are compatible with an MLS gasket. They do require a certain finish to make sure that they work properly. With that being said, these ones, when they heat up, they basically, like, I won't say they weld themselves to the head, but they're really hard to clean off. If you've ever cleaned off a factory mating head gasket and surface, you know that it's a pain in the ass to get everything off of there. So with that being said, one thing that I do is I'll go ahead and put a little bit of black RTV right here in this area and up under the gasket and on the top side of the gasket, to make sure we don't have any oil leaks in that area. Now these are labeled, it'll say front, you can see right there, front. Typically that means you put it on the front side of the block. It can be reversed, just make sure that that's what you do. One thing to note, and all the gaskets are designed this way. If it's not labeled front, the side of the gasket where the coolant ports are blocked off on the block is always going to be towards the front. So with that being said, that's pretty much all I do. We are going to go with, I'll set you guys up on the tripod and you can watch me torque these head down. And, but on the torque wrench, I'm probably going to go 35, 55, 75 on this one. And, maybe we'll bump it up to 80. So we'll see. But yeah, if you guys want to, you can go ahead and clean out all your threads. It's always good practice to clean all of the threads on the block with a thread chaser. And if you really need to, especially if your head's been off a couple times, it's always good practice. Being that these are original and they've only been off one time, I'm not too worried about it. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing put on here. So from here, we're actually going to go ahead, we're going to get our rockers put in. I need to go ahead and clean the rockers and push rods are up over here. I need to go ahead and clean the push rods up a little bit, just the exterior. And then I usually run brake clean down the center of the push rod, just make sure it comes out clean. There's no foreign deposits in there at all. So we'll put the push rods in there, and then we'll get these rockers bolted down and probably put the valve covers on it just to see what it's going to look like. And that'll probably be it for the day. We got work later here in a little while, so yeah, we'll try to get that done and let's see what it looks like. Shoo-wee! All right, y'all. Went ahead, we got our push rods and our rockers bolted down, and we had to bring out the valve covers. I don't think that I've showed you guys these yet, but we custom painted the valve covers to match the car. I think they turned out pretty good. I did clear coat the fill tube here too, so it's like a brushed finish. I think it'll match pretty well with like the brushed brackets for the alternator and power steering. But I think the red complements it well. I am excited to get this intake put on here. I got the intake cleaned up. It cleaned up really nice. I'm excited to show you guys that. And that'll be the next step. So we're going to go ahead, probably not today, but we need to go ahead. I got to get the bolts cleaned for the intake, and we're going to go ahead and get this lower intake put down on here, and that'll probably be it. Once I get the lower intake put on, I'm going to work on getting the alternator and the power steering pump stuff put on, and then get a belt on this thing, and it'll be ready to go in the car. I typically just install the engines with the lower intake on, and then I put the upper intake on once I get it put in the car. It makes it just a little bit easier to kind of tilt the motor down where you want it to go. So yeah, this I'm liking how this looks. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, if you like the color match valve covers or if it'll be too much. You never know. So we still got a lot of work left to do. Got to clean up all the bolts for the valve covers, the intake, and I got to clean up the heater tube, get that painted. Lots of little things left to go. I still got to clean up the distributor. We can pop that down in there as well. And yeah, man, we're getting after it. So I'm going to get some more work done, and I'll update you guys when I'm there. All right, y'all. We got some more progress done on this thing. Go ahead and do a quick rundown. I think the last time I left off, I showed you guys the red valve covers. We got the kind of just stock valve covers. These are the ones that I use to put motors in cars. That way I don't mess up the valve covers and all that stuff. So these are just, here's a placeholder. We did go ahead and get our headers on. These are a set of hooker headers we sourced from Junkyard, actually. Went ahead and had them sandblasted and painted them with some high temp black paint. I do have a new oil filter, but I'm not going to put it on until I get the motor in the car. We did get our motor mounts cleaned up. If you guys remember that 40,000 mile 93 Cobra that we found at the junkyard, these are actually the motor mounts off of that. They're in awesome shape. So went ahead, cleaned them up, threw a fresh coat of gloss black on them, and we're going to roll with those. I got the dipstick tube put on here, and we got the wiring harness put on. Got that all cleaned up, retaped, got everything plugged in. This is an actual 86 harness, so everything should be good to go there. Got the ground on the back of the block for that. And we got this header put on, motor mount put on this side. We got the Speed Doctor alternator mount bracket all finished up. Got the 3G alternator cleaned up and put on there. This is just the factory coating. Went ahead and cleaned it up best I could. Without painting it. I didn't really want to paint it. We do have the harness here for the 3G. I'm probably going to have to shorten this. That's why I didn't clean or retape this up yet, because I think I'm going to have to probably shorten that a little bit. However, we did go ahead and get the O2 sensor harness all cleaned up. And we got the starter harness all cleaned up. This was actually here already. I'll probably go ahead and throw just a little bit of tape on this connection. That way we can get it a little bit more waterproof. But this was actually on the harness already. So figured might as well just keep it there. It seemed to have a good connection, so we'll go ahead and leave it. Did get the oil pressure sensor put on. Got that all cleaned up. That cleaned up really nice. Let's see, what else did we do? Oh, we got the thermostat housing put on, got the thermostat put in there, got the hoses ran for the heater tube, got that cleaned up, got it put on, and that was pretty much it leading up to this point. So that being said, we are ready to put this thing down in the car. Everything else from this point on, I can do it in the car. I'm ready to get this thing sat down in there to, one, get it out of my way, but two, just to see it in the engine bay and feel like some progress is being made. So I went ahead and I got the transmission all cleaned up, got the bell housing cleaned up. It's right here. Went ahead and got all my bolts and stuff, and the clutch fork, found all of that stuff. Remember, the thing with this engine and this project is to just kind of use parts that we've got laying around here. So I was able to source a bunch of the bolts and everything that I need. I do still need to look for the starter. If I cannot find the starter, no big deal. We'll go ahead and just order a new one and put it on whenever it comes in. So yeah, other than that, this thing is ready to put in the car. One thing I did want to note, there's a nipple that comes off the heater tube assembly that runs into the EGR spacer on the throttle body. We are deleting that, so I went ahead and just looped those back to the back port. Granted, you could run just a hose and then maybe put like a bolt in here, or what I would do if I really wanted to get fancy with it was cut that nipple off and then weld that hole shut and grind it smooth. That way it was like never there from the factory, and then you could just put a plug in the intake and be all good. However, whoever buys this, if they want to put EGR stuff back on it or whatever at some point in time, they can still do so. You never know. So that being said, we are going to go ahead and get our engine hoist out here and get this thing lifted off the engine stand. I've got to go ahead and get this flex plate removed, get the flywheel put on, get the clutch put on. I do need to replace the rear main seal since we're already back here. Might as well. I've got a couple of those laying around as well. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get it ready to put in. Once I go ahead and get this thing ready to put in, I will pick up the camera and kind of show you guys what it all looks like. I'm probably not going to go into detail on how to put the clutch and the rear main and all that on. If you want to know more about that, go ahead and check out the series that I did on the yellow 79 Coupe. I went in pretty depth detail on how I do all of that. So we'll go ahead and get all that done, and I'll pick up the camera. All right, went ahead and got the bell housing, got the clutch, everything put on. It's ready to go. Got the transmission bolted down. Everything cleaned up fairly good. I do need to go ahead and pull this shifter off. That way I don't scratch the tunnel all the shit. And then, yeah, transmission slipped right on there. This is a SN95 V6 transmission that I got out of the junkyard. I'm not sure how much I touched on this. I don't know the current condition of it, but it seemed to shift fine on the ground, so we'll see. And yeah, so everything went on pretty good. I did change the Foxbody, or change the input shaft over to the Foxbody one and put a new input shaft bearing retainer on it. Everything seemed to work out good on that front. And then if you run the 94 to 98 ones, the actual gear for the speedometer is still in the tail shaft. So that's good. If you run the 99 to 04 ones or not. Went ahead and got the starter bolted on. That seemed to go on pretty good. I got the wiring harnesses all zip tied and out of place so they're not in the way and getting messed up whenever we go to put it down in there. So that being said, it is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and push the car up here and we'll try to get this thing snaked in there. All right, y'all, as you can tell, we got this thing shoved in a hole. I went ahead and got the paint match valve covers put on and just went ahead and sat the intake down there just to fill that void, mock it up a little bit, see what it's going to look like in the car. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Everything went in really smoothly. Did have a little fiasco on the distributor oil pump shaft, but we are all good on that front. Yeah, got the original hardware for the valve covers all cleaned up, got everything put on. Valve covers are on for good. Hopefully I got to go ahead and put spark plugs down in there. I'm thinking about actually buying a set of either black or the red Ford Racing plug wires for this thing. Let me know in the comments what you guys think would look better. I do need to go ahead and get the power steering pump put on. We're going to go ahead and hopefully knock that out this week, along with a bunch of the other little stuff, and start working on getting our radiator cleaned up, and fan shroud and overflow tank and all that stuff that goes on in here to make this thing run. So let me know what you guys think. I think this thing looks awesome. Really happy with the way it looks. I'll say it looks a million times better than when we started, and I think that most of you would agree with that. So yeah, we do have, like I was talking about earlier, I'm gonna have to go ahead and trim this harness down for the alternator. You guys can see how long this thing is. So a little bit about what I'm thinking about actually doing is, instead of running this harness right here on the frame rail, I might just come, I might tuck it in down here and snake it along the bottom side of the frame rail, because I think I'll have enough. And then I'll just run it from the bottom side of the frame rail over here to the alternator. That way it'll kind of clean up this area and make it look just a little bit better. We are going to probably do some sort of cover or panel for the factory airbox hole, because we are going to be running the Anderson power pipe through here. Going to be way overkill for a stock motor, but it looks way better in my opinion. So with that being said, like I said, we got to get the belt. There's so much more left to do, but this was a huge milestone in this project. Just getting this engine and transmission sat down in the car was a huge milestone, and getting this thing on the road. So I appreciate all you guys for watching. Thank you for all the new subs. Thank you for everybody that comments. I really appreciate it. If you would be so kind to go ahead and drop a like and share the video and subscribe if you haven't, that'd be cool too. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this project, and we'll see you in the next one.